Timpson may seem like an ordinary high street service business, but it's successful thanks to its unusual upside-down management approach. Chairman John Timpson explains how it works and why it's even more beneficial in a downturn.
Upside-down management, how does it work?
Really, it started with I was trying to work out how do we really make our business competitive. We've got some strong competitors on the high street, and I realised that in actual fact that there's only one sensible way to be the best at what you do, and that's to look after the customers. Give them a great job and give them a great service. And then I thought a little bit further, what does a great service mean? And it certainly isn't something you could dictate by a set of rules. Okay, you might get people to say have a nice day and have a sort of set patter to use to customers, but that's not great service. It's okay service, but I wanted to do something that where individual customers got individual service. And I realised you can only do that if you give the people who serve those customers total freedom to do it their way. And that was the reason why we introduced what we called upside down management, which is very simply to say to everyone who works for us, you have my authority, the company's authority, to do what you think is right to do your job. No one can tell you what to do. Everyone who you work for, that's the way other businesses describe it, in fact are there to help you do your job.
How do you ensure that you make it work? What are some practical tips to make it work?
I soon discovered when we started to do this that people actually didn't believe me. I was trying to trust them, but I don't think they trusted me. So when I said, well, you can do what you want, you can serve the customers whichever way you want, it didn't make any difference at all. So just to make sure it did make a difference, I said two particular things. First of all, if you've got a customer that's got a complaint, you can spend up to £500 to settle that complaint without referring to anyone else. You can do that straight away. And the second thing I said was, you can charge what you want. We have a price list, but the price list is a guide. Because a lot of our jobs vary. I mean, engraving, shoe repairs, watch repairs, every job is different. And so, although you can have a price list, which is a guide to all the ordinary jobs, there's no price list I've found which works for the extraordinary jobs. And that's why giving people freedom to charge what they want is so important.
How easy was it to put into action?
I think I'm probably still working on it, although it has become very much part of our culture now, and most people understand the phrase upside down management. It probably means different things to different people still. It took at least 5 years before I really thought that the business was comfortable with what we were trying to do. And in particular, I had to persuade the area teams that we have, because the country is, these days we're broken up into 22 different areas, with an area manager and a team of 4 people or 3 people to help him or her. And I had to get them to buy into the idea, because they're the people who had to let go. Traditionally, area managers, all our area managers work out through the business. We don't employ anyone from outside, but they spent maybe 10 years starting as an apprentice, worked very hard, got all their skill levels, learned the management techniques. And then I turned to them and say, well, you can't be a boss. You wanted to be a boss, but you're not going to go around issuing orders. Your job is to help the people who now are under your wing. And it was quite difficult to get them to let go, because they say, well, if I'm giving them the job, particularly the area manager giving his assistants the job of helping him run the area and doing the training and doing the who goes where and so on, what job is left for me to do? They felt threatened. But of course, they concentrate on the most important job of all, because I discovered very quickly that upside down management only works with the right people. If you haven't got the right personalities, you've got no chance of giving them freedom because they don't want it and it doesn't work. So picking the right people and looking after them is absolutely critical to develop a business like ours. And that, in particular, is the area manager's job. So that's where they spend their time.
How does it affect your role as a leader, your day-to-day role?
No, it's easy to me because I believe in it. I mean, I'd done the thinking in the first place, and I realised that if you're going to be in a multi-site service business, and we've now got, whatever it is, 635 plus shops, you can't control that by issuing orders and telling people what to do. You've got to set the guidelines, and give people the freedom to get on with it. And so I was convinced about that from day one. And I had no problem. I think it's great to let people get on with it. I'm much more comfortable sitting back and thinking, how can I help them? What's the strategy? What do we do next?
How else do you support people?
I suppose the most obvious way we support people is if they've got a problem. And it happens from time to time. If someone's got a real problem outside of work, there's no good saying don't bring your troubles to your workplace, because it's natural to do so. But what we can do is help, and we tend to do that through what we call our hardship fund. And at any one time we're lending something like 150, 200,000 pounds out, not to one individual, but in lots of £1,000 here, £1,500, to get over the difficulties that people are experiencing, particularly now, with car problems and getting them sorted out, marriage problems and getting them sorted out, credit problems and so on. So that's one thing we do. On a slight more positive side, everyone who works for us gets their birthday off, which I think is just a nice way of saying thank you, not just to them but to the rest of their family. And we're also thinking about a family. We have got 4 holiday homes, shortly we'll have 4 more, 2 in the UK at the moment, 1 in Spain, 1 in Turkey, which are there for the free use of the people who work for us. They just pay to get there and pay for whatever they eat or drink while they're on holiday, but accommodation is free, and that's very popular. So we do a whole series of things. We celebrate their important birthdays, their important landmarks with the business. We help celebrate marriages and births in all sorts of tangible ways. I think probably the thing that's been most exciting recently, we have a little scheme that is called Dreams Come True. And it was a 1-year only idea that we said, let us know what your real dream is. And we're going to make a dream come true every month for the next 12 months. We've had a £50,000 fund to do this. We've actually spent the money, but we've managed to make more than 12 dreams come true, a lot more. So successful, we're going to do that again next year. Well, someone asked me how much it costs to give everyone their birthday off. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous even to think what it costs. It's an absolute no-brainer. As a result of the fact that we're generous like that, we have less sickness absence, we have a much more loyal workforce, and frankly, they deserve it. And they deserve it probably more in difficult times than they do in the good times. So it's money extremely well spent.